I'm John Tall, Willie L, Chris White, Bodega the DJ. We all did it at the Roundtable Podcast.
Welcome to dinner at the Roundtable Podcast with DJ John Tavar, Willie L, Chris Ryder, and Bodega the DJ on the ones and twos. Your source to knowledge. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at dinner at the Roundtable.
GG, I am DJ John Taval, Lane L, Chris Ryder. We all dinner at the Roundtable Podcast, your source to knowledge. Monday, September 21st, first day of fall. What's going on, fellas?
You already know, man. At the Roundtable, live from New York, like always. We're here in the building, man. Welcome to the show, guys. Once again.
Man. It feels kind of a little awkward, you know what I mean? Just us three, no guests tonight, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How we started, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Let's get to it, though, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Current events, what's going on lately, man?
Current events, man. The NBA playoffs, man, are off the hook right now. The Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, and the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Lakers are 2-0 in that series with the Nuggets, and the Miami Heat are 2-1 versus the Boston Celtics. It's a great time for sports, even though we're still in a pandemic, right? But the NBA did a good job of keeping their players safe in the bubble that they created in the Disney resorts. And it's been a hell of a playoff series, man. There's been a lot of things going on. Particularly the Denver Nuggets, who were in the team. Well, they had the second best record last year, right, in the West Coast, but or the first, right? They had the best record last season. But the whole point is that, you know, the LA Clippers had them 3-1 in the series, and they crept back up and actually beat them to face the Lakers. And now they're with the Lakers, and they're down 2-0. So let's see what happens.
Nah, definitely. I mean, listen, I heard what happened with that. I mean, I was rooting for the Clippers. I mean, you know, to be honest, I haven't really been watching the games lately, but I've been watching the highlights. And, you know, seeing that happening to the Clippers was crazy, though, man. Because, I mean, I think that happened to them more than once already. But the thing about it, man, honestly, Doc Rivers still going to keep his job, though. They're not going to fire him. He's still going to be there next year, though, for sure, though. But it kind of puts a lot of, you know, heat on, you know, Leonard and also Paul George. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Left Toronto. Should have stayed.
Yeah. He should have never left Toronto. Toronto definitely came up. They got, you know, they ended up acquiring Gasol, which was another piece that they added. But, you know, he was bragging, man, that he was going to take the throne off of LeBron James. And I've been quoted on this show before. I'm quoting myself saying that, you know, at the end of the day, just because LeBron didn't make it to the playoffs last season did not make Leonard the best player in the NBA. I've said this multiple times. You know, prime example, look, LeBron is still in it. He's killing it. You can't give the throne to somebody that hasn't – he has earned it, Leonard, but the whole thing is the best player in the NBA was still atop of his throne because he never went down statistically, which was LeBron James. And, you know, Giannis won the MVP because he had the best season in his – as far as statistics, and his team, the Milwaukee Bucks, were had the best record in the East. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA, and there's proof to it. So Leonard went to LA, which I disagreed with him going over there, but it didn't work out for him, and he was blaming the IQ of the team. For not beating the Denver Nuggets. I mean, come on. So what happened those 3 games that you guys won? And how about those losses? You guys were up by 15 or more points, and you guys let them come back and beat you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of irrelevant what he was saying. I guess he was just frustrated, but he made it seem like it was the coaching staff. It was their issue when actually it was the players' issue.
I think that LA's LeBron James and Anthony Davis pairing is more sense. I feel like LA is more balanced the team, whereas I think the Leonard and Paul George pairings just didn't make sense to me, honestly. Like, you got 2 players who play the same position, why would you do that? I think that if they would have just kept Kawhi or just had Kawhi and, they would have, I think they'd have been better off. Number one, he shouldn't have left Toronto because why would you leave a championship team where you have everything balanced around you? Because the team was really built around Leonard, because he had his shooter in Van Velt. He had his secondary guy in, was it Sycom, I think last name is? And you still had Kyle Lowry, you had Marcus Gasol. Like, Toronto was deep. Toronto could have won a second championship this year, honestly. But
Yeah.
I think like this NBA bubble benefited certain teams,
Yeah.
and I feel like I think if the pandemic never happens, I think Milwaukee wins everything. But I think the
I hate to differ. I don't think Milwaukee's not built for the.
is
They're
they
not built for. They haven't even made it past round 2 yet. They're
no,
not built.
what I'm saying is before pre-pandemic, I think they had it.
They have the best
Post-pandemic, I
record in
think
the league. Yeah, correct. But that doesn't mean that the playoffs is a whole different animal, man. You could play in the season a
saying
certain
is
way, but that half court press in the playoffs and it's all about you can't expect Giannis to do ISO in the playoffs. That doesn't work in the playoffs, right? I mean, Jason, you know about basketball,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the ISO thing does not work in the playoffs unless it's a shot to win the game at the buzzer, right? Correct. But you can't play that ball, and that's what's wrong with the Bucks. They rely too much on Giannis to take over the games, and in the playoffs, you can't do that. In the playoffs, playoffs is fundamental basketball. You can't do that, and that's why I believe that the Bucks, even though they had a great record and they lost momentum because of the pandemic, they were not gonna win, bro. They were not gonna take the East. They were not.
I
They're
mean,
not.
with basketball though, in general though, it is a team game though. So to really put one player in a position where they're carrying the team, it's not gonna happen. I mean, that just can't work like that. It has to be a team effort. You know what I'm saying? This is why it's very important that when it comes to playoff time, especially crunch time, that players play together and they understand each other's game, and that's how you win games because it's not a one man sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And
That's how it is in basketball, baseball, football. It's like it's a team game.
yeah.
And I really think the Lakers going to win.
Oh
I
yeah,
really
definitely.
believe that, and I really believe they actually put the NBA back. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy, but all for the sake of LeBron to win the chip with LA. I
No,
really
I mean,
believe that. I
let's
believe
not
they put
forget,
the NBA
they
back so
also
LeBron can win the chip. Although,
and let's
yeah,
not forget that they're also playing in memory of Kobe Bryant for this season too.
yeah, nah, for
So
sure. Yeah, yeah,
listen, the Lakers are super stacked. The Lakers are beyond a super team. They're even bigger than when the Warriors made their super team, which wasn't really a super team because all those guys came up
yeah.
under the Warriors, right? The only guy who came over was Durant, right? But what I was gonna say, the Lakers, their bench could be a starting five in any other team. That's how good they are.
you have Anthony Davis, who is probably one of the better scorers in NBA history. Period. I don't. LeBron's never had this level of scorer. I mean, Dwayne Wade, was good, but he was, by the time LeBron came, he was a better secondary option. And then Kyrie Irving too. These guys were 20 points per game kind of guys. They weren't 34, 35. Because that's like Anthony Davis can average. He can average 20, 29, 30 easy.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis is a beast. So
Yeah.
you put a guy like LeBron with a guy like Davis, that shit's unstoppable because LeBron doesn't feel like he has to extend so much energy. He can dictate where he wants to be because LeBron is a player that he wants to dictate where he wants to be. And if he's got a guy like Davis who could take the scoring load off him, that makes him even more dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Anthony Davis is arguably the best man in the game. He can shoot from the perimeter, shoot the three, he could dribble, he could handle. This guy's unstoppable, bro. You've never seen a big man who could dribble and handle the ball like a point guard and also milk you from the 3-point line. Like I know like you had Tim Duncan was great at the perimeter, but he wasn't a 3-point shooter. Like he could probably make it. He would make it from back there if he had to, but that Anthony Davis literally shoots from the 3-point. Like he usually takes like 3 or 4 shots from the 3-point line a game, and he gets him like I think he's like 40% from the 3-point line. So he's the biggest. I think he's the biggest threat as far as big mans go. You got the Joker from the Nuggets. He's great too, but he be milking them from the 3-point line too. So the NBA has changed, man. It's all a shooting game now, and if you ain't got a shot, man, all that like a 3-point shot, you're not as valuable.
Nah, it's true. The game definitely.
Because remember the NBA draft a couple years ago, you had Karl Anthony Towns, and you had Okafor, who was I think the number 2 or 3 pick, and then it was Porzingis. You know, Okafor can't find a team right now because he's the prototypical back to the basket type of center.
Yeah.
He can't find a team.
Yeah.
He never developed that outside shot because Warriors really changed the game completely. I mean, the
Well, Steph
Suns
Curry did. He's credited for that. Steph Curry.
the
He
Suns
changed the
started off
3-point.
because D'Antoni started that fucking run and gun 3-point. He started that system, and then Kerr took what he learned from D'Antoni, took what he learned from Phil Jackson, and he created his own hybrid. That's why the fucking Warriors were so great because they played like beautiful basketball, pretty much. That ball moved to the most open guy.
I agree though, and I mean you're right about that. The game has definitely changed a lot because now it's not even physical no more. You get a little tap right there, foul already. So it's definitely. I think it's hurting the game when you actually change those rules like that, where people really can't really showcase their skills the way they want to showcase their skills,
Yeah.
and that rely on having a not even a mid range but a long range jumper, to actually score now. You know, and I mean I don't know, man. We'll see. Hopefully, it's start twisting the rules a little bit. But do you guys think it's like it's more entertaining to see people shoot, or you see people slashing inside the basket, seeing people getting dunked on, seeing
Yeah.
those fouls coming?
I mean, you see Steph Curry freaking shooting from like everywhere and anywhere. And one thing about the NBA that's crazy is it's not a big man's game anymore.
Nah, it's not.
7 footers, 6'10". It's 6'2". You got centers that are 6'7" playing center. Got guys like what was it? Draymond Green. How tall is Draymond Green? 6'7", 6'8",
Like
playing center. LeBron James plays center. Durant 7 feet, but he plays like a small guy.
right, right.
And he's probably like the tallest man on the court.
Yeah, man. It's a little man's game, and it has to do with the 3-point arson that was created in the NBA. And I mean, me as a basketball fan, it's exciting to see your team coming back from behind and they just like milking those threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Damian Lillard, man. That guy shoots from half court. You can't even guard that. Like, he was shooting from half court as a defensive. When you're playing defense, you're set at the 3-point line to defend your opponent. This guy's shooting from the half court, a little bit over the half court. How can you guard that? He was milking them all day. So I mean, it's exciting to see that because they make up for incredible shots, man, and wonderful moments. But you still got your slashers in the NBA. You got your slashers. You got Tatum, Leonard, LeBron. They all slashers. But just to see a basketball player be more well-rounded, that they can shoot from anywhere and still be slashers, I think is exciting for the game because is more of a scoring opportunity for players. But at the same time, being that it's so sensitive, it kind of takes away from the roughness of basketball, right? From where we would used to seeing in the '80s and the early '90s.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, think about the 3-pointer. 3-pointer was really designed to actually have teams like you just said, to actually come back. So it won't be much of a blowout. So they have opportunity to to come back. Because I think the 3-point became official, I think, in 1979. So before that era, it was just 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and there was a lot of back and forth. You know what I'm saying, during that era. But yeah, man, the game's definitely changed a lot. I mean, I'm a hardcore Nick, man, and honestly, man, I can't believe we got the 8th pick. It's crazy. It's just like so real. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man.
You always get fucking slayed, man. All
They
the
were
time.
talking about Greg
All the
Anthony
time.
Jr. as far as like a pick, and he was actually projected to be a first overall round talent, but he got injured. So it
Oh, yeah.
kind of took his draft stock down. So I'm really hoping that we can get Greg Anthony.
I was
Because
hoping we get honestly, LaMelo, one of the Ball brothers. Yeah,
Minnesota,
I think he's be the best one out of all of them.
Well,
Minnesota's got to go Anthony Edwards. They got to go Anthony Edwards because they got their point guard already. They got their power forward. Anthony Edwards is what, a small forward. They gotta get him because it doesn't make sense for them to take Lamelo. He doesn't fit in what they're trying to do.
there's rumors flying around that they're going after Chris Paul Westbrook too. The Knicks.
Next.
Yeah, I mean, it's all rumors,
Van Velt too.
rumor mill.
Well,
But
Chris
I don't
Paul
know, man.
is on his way out though. He got about 2 years left. I give it.
Chris Paul definitely we don't want. He's 36 years old. He's still got $40 million in his contract. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We're in the rebuilding process. We want.
Yeah, we need some young players in there. Like I'm saying, we need a true point guard. Though. We need someone that could really run the point position. That's what we need.
I mean, in that sense, then Chris Paul makes sense for the Knicks, but it's a lot of money, bro.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of money. The Knicks is the richest team in basketball.
Yeah, well, I mean,
The richest team in basketball is the Knicks.
yeah, they are. They
So,
got the highest. They got the highest. As far as like the budget.
What's unattractive? What's unattractive about the Knicks is number one, the high taxes that you got to pay as a player, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that the administration, upper management sucks. The players don't really have a say so in the Knicks organization.
Horrible.
It's all about dictator Dolan. You know what I mean? So
you're right about the Knicks.
Unattractive.
And there's also that expectation of being the savior. That's what. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw an article that Durant said. He said, "I wasn't interested. I wanted to live in New York. I wanted to come to New York, but I wasn't interested in being the savior. I don't." He was like, "I just want to." And Durant, you could tell he's like a real low key dude. He was like, "I just want to come, play ball, go home. That's what I want to do." And that's perfect.
That's the only thing that's always been criticized of Durant. For as much of a great player that he is, you never seen like that Hercules in him. You know what I'm saying? You know how all great players are always like boastful and like, yeah, I'm the man and shit. He's always been like low key. Like that's the only reason it's unattractive. Like for me as a superstar, like that's very unattractive about him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for him to be like that, like he's very low key and like that's why Leonard too is another one. He's like very low key. Usually when you know that you're great, you show it. You know what I mean? Like through like trash talking as well, right? You got to trash talk a little bit. But they show it on the floor for sure. But it's like
I say that, on the floor they definitely show that. They let their game speak for itself, though.
Yeah, but when you're a great player, you got to talk shit, man. You got to like be competitive, like you know what I'm saying, like the likes of Jordan and Kobe Bryant, even LeBron talk shit. He'd be like, oh, I'm the greatest player of all time. Kobe, oh, I'm gonna get you. You know, Jordan is like he'll basically pick on you until you like say something so he could beat your ass.
Talk trash.
Those type of players, those are real superstars.
Yeah, man. But it's crazy though, man. Again, though, the Knicks, man. I just hope. I don't know, man. Ever since they traded Patrick Ewing, that was it. The Knicks never been the same.
Yeah, man.
Never been the same, bro.
But listen, I definitely I got the Lakers winning it all. Who you guys got? You said Lakers as well, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I got the Lakers winning it. I think again though, they brought the NBA back for LeBron.
I guarantee you, Chris Wright's gonna say the Miami Heat because he's an underdog. Guy.
Nobody's beating the Lakers, bro.
Nobody's beating like. There you go. I know Josh Weber would definitely like to hear that from you coming.
Yeah, man. Yo, I read somewhere like they were calling Paul George Pandemic P.
Yeah.
What? Pandemic what?
Pandemic P.
Oh, wow. Double P.
Yo, I saw one of my friends posted on Facebook. He was like, Jason Tatum is better than Paul George. I'm like, bro, you got to let Tatum grow first. Yeah. Give Tatum another 5 years.
It's too soon.
It's too soon. To me, it's like if Tatum's average like 28, 29 and MVP conversations, then we could talk about him being better than Paul George. But, like now was talking about with freaking Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Hold on, bro. Pump the brakes. Let's relax. Let's take it easy.
Yeah.
Players develop
before we can't pass the throne like that so quick, man. You gotta let these players develop, and also like Kawhi. Okay, I get it. He had a history with the Spurs, whatever. But remember that first championship that he won. He wasn't the main guy. He wasn't. Well, Tim Duncan was the main guy, and Parker, and Ginobili was even more senior. Was more prolific than him as far as the Spurs are considered. Right, he was the fourth option. So, LeBron missing the playoffs, last season, and they basically in a rebuilding process for the Lakers did not deem that Leonard was supposed to be the best player in the NBA. I was like so pissed off of that. And look, LeBron James proved it this season. So he's still the best player in the league. He's never dropped. Statistically, he hasn't declined. He doesn't have the best stats in the league as far as scoring because Giannis is and Harden, right? But he's still there, man, and he's still showing his team made it to the playoffs, and they're gonna win this season. He's been playing like a young LeBron, bro. He's been killing it this season.
So that season last year, being injured and not playing, it was the best thing that happened to him. His body needed time.
Yeah,
His
That's
body needed to rest. You know, he played six finals in a row, playing 82 games, upwards of 100 games a season.
yeah, yeah.
That's a lot.
it's a
And mind
lot.
you, he played in high school, so that's
30,
like 4 years on top of him being in the NBA already.
playing and not playing sometimes 45 minutes,
Yeah, yeah. Like
48 minutes.
holding your body definitely, and then what I mean, especially when he's like got that running gun, especially when he was in Miami, him and D Wade were just running, gunning, just running all the time, man, and that shit takes a lot out of your body. It definitely does, man. But I mean, listen, again, the Lakers, you know, they're gonna take it next year. We'll see how it's gonna NBA. I mean, we don't even know how the NBA gonna start next season. I mean,
Yeah,
who knows? You know,
Well,
you know,
it's
the second wave of Corona.
I want to say one thing though. Can we fucking just not respect James Harden, bro?
Hey, you can say the same thing for
He's a
Giannis
great
too, bro.
fucking scorer, but a winner, no.
Yeah, I mean he's a prolific scorer, but I mean he don't have the right pieces yet. You know he can't.
I don't think he makes
It's
other
not
Can't blame him.
around.
You can't blame it solely. You can't blame it solely on one player because it's a team effort. But you're right. He chokes in the playoffs, and I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
I mean, if you think about it, if Chris Paul don't get hurt that series, they beat the Warriors because he was cooking Curry, cooking them, sunning them the whole series. Chris Paul was sunning like threes in his face, breaking his ankles. Like he was really going at Steph, bro. Like he was like, "You my son." He really went at him that series, and he never gets hurt. I think they win that shit 6 games.
Mm.
They win the six, but
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that series.
Coulda,
then
woulda, shoulda.
then when Harden should have taken the team on his back and their Hercules, he fucking folded.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man. So enough about basketball. We got for New Yorkers the lost wages assistance program is back on. You're getting an extra $300 a week on top of your unemployment. Yeah, balling again. New Yorkers, man, balling out there. All these outside dining things are over. I mean,
Wow.
all this outside dining thing is available, but now you got a 25% capacity indoors. A lot of New Yorkers are balling right now, man, to make it at $700 a week of
I
unemployment.
mean, they have to though. Because New York is a
I
big
think they're gonna do that shit 25% phases. So they're gonna do the 25%, let it go for like
Yeah,
a couple weeks to a month to see like how the cases go.
yeah,
And if everything is good, they'll increase it to 50 and then
yeah.
let that shit run for a little bit and then 75 and then that shit's gonna be pretty much every other table,
Yep.
from now
My
on.
advice would be to my fellow New Yorkers is to just stack your money up, man. You don't know how crazy this shit is gonna get, and that lost wages assistance program is not gonna be around for long. So just stack your money up, stop buying bottles in little lounges and hookah bars and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cold. It's gonna get cold soon. So all that outside dining is a wrap.
yeah.
You know, and find what I'm saying. So
I just think people just miss being there, having that atmosphere.
yeah.
Can't be home all day because I mean they've been home since since the whole pandemic started. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
so
like
it was insane, man. The outside dining scene was insane, bro. Like,
yeah,
and certain restaurants were jacking up their prices because they had to
of
make up for the
course.
losses. So
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, all the shops have been jacking up their prices, man.
yeah, I went and had dinner. I had dinner. I had like a regular entree and like two or three, like two drinks between me and the person who I had dinner with. So it was like $200. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Man, that is
It's
ridiculous.
insane. So
Damn.
it's expensive, bro. Like it's expensive, bro. Very expensive.
It is.
Next time, bro, I'm just going out. I'm going to have dinner at a pizza shop. Fuck that.
$100.
Yo, listen, take an old school style right there. That's old
Let's go
school.
to Mickey D's, baby. Let's go.
Old school right there, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't
Mickey
nothing wrong with that,
D's.
man. Oh man. But speaking of which, about New York though, man, the weather, like you guys just said right now, is getting colder, but now it's getting really cold.
Yeah. Well,
Today was
autumn.
51 degrees.
Yeah.
Crazy. It kind
So
of
I
makes
don't
me
know.
think about the winter then.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing about that global warming thing. Like, I don't get it because the atmosphere goes through changes all the time, and I mean, I'm not saying that global warming is not real, but we did have issues with protecting our environment, our ecosystem, but we've gotten better. The ozone layer is actually closing, right? It's almost right. Remember, we looked at some research on that, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, when it's this cold, like, does global warming really is it really an issue? Like,
I
you know what I
mean,
mean? Like,
Go ahead, Chris.
the last couple of years, we haven't had like a hot, super melting summer.
yeah, we haven't.
So
And
that global warming shit, I mean, it's just you can't really put your faith behind something that has a political agenda, and that's my problem with that. When something has a political agenda, and you got people in politics like running an agenda, you got scientists who are in cahoots with them. I don't really put my trust behind it. That's my whole thing with global warming. But back to I was just referring to it because of the weather changes that John Tovar was saying.
but I mean, even I mean, it was more of a thing when you look at last winter. It wasn't We had one major snowstorm, and that shit happened like early, like
Mm.
what was it, November?
Yes,
After that, it was just like
correct.
late flurries the whole winter. We had 50 degrees. It's probably one of the hotter winters I remember last year. And I think, whenever if you ever think about it logically, for every hot winter, it's a stupid fucking winter. Like it's like ridiculous. Snowstorms, 10 degrees, 15 degrees,
Mm.
So I think it's just, it's the way the weather is. It's gonna start dropping down to the 50s and 60s. It's sweater weather right now, and
Yeah,
we've had instances where we've went from summer straight to winter, and we didn't have the sweater weather. Or the sweater
yeah.
weather was for a week, and that was it.
I just think the planet as a whole is just it goes through changes, just like we go through changes. Our bodies, we sometimes if you eat too much, if you eat too much, you get fat. If you eat little, you lose weight. And sometimes if you don't get enough sleep, you might feel under the weather. It's just that's how the Earth works. And I mean, depending on the way that the Earth is rotating and the way the sun is hitting us, all depends on the temperature.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I definitely I'm a firm believer about global warming though. I am though, man. I keep it real with you guys for the simple fact of how, not only the climate, but just even like species are being extinct because the environment is changing around them. But now they no longer exist no more. And they're really predicting if we go at this rate, humans could be headed to extinction as well. And it's crazy because honestly, you really think about also, us just really, cutting down so many trees just to build, more commercial areas. We're not really thinking about the ecosystem itself that we need those type of, what I'm saying, we need an environment. We need trees. We need those natural resources. And it's very damaging. And also, again, the burning of, fossils, which pollutes the air. It could definitely, I mean, by it's something that we all should know already. It damages the ozone layer. You know what I'm saying? So those things are always, those things are evident. I'm saying, things you can actually observe for yourself and see. Um, but I really believe though, we're going at a really faster rate though. It's getting crazy. We're going at a really faster rate. Natural disasters is becoming happening more rapidly now. All these hurricanes. Something that always, we got to think about it, man. We got to really think about it, because I mean, a lot of these places are getting hit hard too with these natural disasters, man. Like no other throughout history. Puerto Rico, for example, got hit really hard. You know,
yeah. I mean, some say that those natural disasters are altered as well. Um,
First time, second
we
time.
have like satellite images and that actually like harp, right? That fucking beam something into the water and causes a hurricane. But I don't know. That's all. It could all be conspiracy theories. But I mean, what happens when a conspiracy theory becomes actual fact, right? Like, is actual, it really exists. A lot of conspiracy theories end up being truthful, right? So until, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just weird.
No, it is weird, but I will always say though, I mean, observation is the best way to really see things or what it is. I mean, observe it yourself. Something you can actually see it for yourself. You know, it's not
Yeah.
about you just taking someone's word or it's a he said, she said. Like you can actually observe it yourself and see it and make your
Yeah.
own assessment about it. You know, so we're gonna definitely have an episode about climate change. I mean, we definitely gonna talk about that more and get more in depth about that. But
Yeah,
what else
man.
is going on though?
Man, I mean, not much, man. We still just waiting to see what the second wave happens with this pandemic. And,
Yeah,
there's a lot of places reopening, like the DOE, the Department of Education. They're taking their time because they want to be sure that their safety guidelines are in check, right?
yeah.
Man, it's just a process, man. Everybody's just going by ear and going by what's going on and seeing what the test results are, and we just adapting slowly but surely.
Nah, for sure, for sure. I mean, again though, this is really a rude awakening with our current economic system that, be clear that we need to really change our system, because so many people right now are like in the loop right now where they're still struggling. They're still trying to, they still can't figure it out of how to survive because of this whole pandemic. You guys were talking about, only 25% capacity for restaurants, to dine in. You know what I'm saying? Certain places are still closed. The DOE right now, we're taking precautions as far as like how we're going to, start the school year. So these are things that we got to start thinking about that, man, this will be a rude awakening that we got to really change our economic structure, man, where we don't have to be in this position right now just in case of any natural disaster because the COVID-19 is a natural disaster. And you know what I'm saying? We got to expect those things to happen.
Yeah,
However, though, we were not prepared for this. And
yeah.
unfortunately, people are really struggling because of this.
And it's sad to see other countries actually doing a better job than us as
No,
far as taking care of their citizens.
oh, yeah.
Mortgage payments have in countries like Canada, mortgage payments were stopped, rent payments were stopped. Everybody's getting everybody got $2,000 worth of stimulus checks. Everybody's on getting unemployment. I don't get it why it's been so hard for us to do it, and I know why, because the capitalist system, the rich don't want to give down to the poor, and that's one of the reasons. Like you're right, the economic system here, it benefits a lot of people, but then it doesn't benefit a whole bunch of more people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. It's crazy
So,
though, because again, you think about like the gap, the size of the gap between the rich and the poor is like no other country in the world, man. The United
yeah,
States
man.
has the highest income gap than any country in the world.
There's no reason why other countries are doing better than us during this pandemic, as far as handling their citizens.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
know
In
what I
my
mean? We
opinion,
are the superpower, the richest country in the world, supposedly, right? So what's going on? What's going on? And it's because there's a system in place that allows it to be like that.
yeah,
That's
it
why.
is true. And again, though, I just hope that people start waking up from this, though. People are
Yeah,
able to really see what's going on and not be so blindsided about, thinking about, they're going to be saved by the government or,
yeah,
just think that, they're going to, things going to just go away quickly. Nah, this
yeah,
started what, no, beginning of the end of March, the whole
yeah,
pandemic actually took an effect. And now we're, in, mid-September and look, we're still, you
yeah.
know, so it's very unfortunate though, man.
When you think about guys like Jeff Bezos, right, the owner of Amazon, this guy, man, like, is making so much money during the pandemic, and he's even dabbed into receiving the food stamps for Whole Foods at Amazon, right? So now he's taking over that market too.
Oh yeah,
You don't see these rich guys like giving back. They're not giving back during the pandemic. They're all concerned about a dollar. You know what I mean? Like, that's sad, bro, to see that. You know, um,
that is.
it's very
It's
sad, man. Like,
unfortunate, but I mean that's their mind state. Because when you think about a billionaire, they became a billionaire because they had that billionaire mindset. They're not
yeah,
really thinking about the
yeah.
well-beings of
But
others. Really
as a
focus on.
yeah, I mean, and that's, mind you, that's something that, in a capitalist state, you can you be like, okay, it's okay that he thought like that, right? But now doing a crisis, like a world crisis where people are like dying and there's not enough to go around,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have enough, bro, to like take care of the whole country practically. You're not giving nothing out.
And it's crazy you said that now because I saw somewhere that he could take care of every single last one of his employees very well.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
And it will only affect what he's made during the pandemic.
it's
Mm.
insane.
That's crazy.
Definitely,
So
yeah, I could
basically,
definitely
you
believe
give
that.
all your employees $100,000 a year. I mean, $100,000, and it won't affect his bottom line at all. It will only affect. But that's the thing about business. They don't care what they made last year. They ain't making money now. They ain't making money this year. They broke. They can't pay their employees. They have to furlough people. But they won't tell you that they set records and profit from last year. But
Right,
because they're not
right.
making any money now, they have no money to pay you.
Absolutely. But there have been studies though about how rich people feel as if they're more privileged and they think they can get away with certain things and they look at other people as inferior. Like I just their mind state. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, you understand it because these are people that look at themselves as higher than you are.
Yeah,
So that's why they could walk by a homeless person and just like, you know what I mean, don't even, even acknowledge the person on the floor, with a cup, you know what I'm saying, just, looking for change. Like they just disregard it because that's the whole mindset. Like to them, you don't even exist, you
yeah.
know, you don't even exist to them.
Unfortunately, that's the
That's,
problem.
yeah, man. We could definitely talk about that more though, because I definitely want to talk about, elaborate more about that.
But our main topic tonight is gun violence. Gun violence. That's what we're talking about today. Gun violence is a
Well,
very contemporary global human rights issue, right? So let's get on that. Let's get on gun violence.
so let me just chime in real quick. I got a text message from one of my former students, and he asked me something very interesting, and it definitely ties in with our topic. He asked me, would I interview Takashi 69? For those who do not know, he actually, I actually saw his interviews. I think he was interviewed by the Logan podcast show, and then by the Shade Room, the Shade Room. Um, I know that he was trying to reach out to Gilly the Kid. They had, I forgot the name of their podcast. That work for game.
Yeah.
Also try to go holler at Joe Buttons, and they all declined Takashi 69. But my response is like, hell yeah, I will interview Takashi 69. Hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, I definitely, man. Because one thing I'll say this, I think it's very important because, first of all, I always about giving people a fair shake, regardless. You know what I mean? I'm about giving people a fair shake, and it's always three sides to a story. It's your side, their side, and the truth. You know what I'm saying? And after looking at Takashi, interview, whatever, just looking what he was saying, I'm saying, certain things he was saying, I wasn't all in agreement with it. However, though, I kind of get certain things he was saying, but, I think it's very important to have like this type of interview with him because it really benefits the kids to show them this is what happens when you involve yourself in the streets. And honestly, that's what my answer. Like I would definitely have an interview with him because I think this is a way for kids to see. Do not put yourself involved in the streets because this is going to happen. And this is why, for me, I will hands down, put him on this platform and have an interview with him. You know what I'm saying? Because kids need to know this type of things. And it's very unfortunate because tied into our topic right now, gun violence, this is getting crazy right now. It's getting crazy. We got kids killing kids. You know what I'm saying? The violence has soared up I think 50% opposed to last year. So it went up 50% opposed to last year of gun violence. And
Well,
that's scary.
yeah. I mean, you gotta consider the times that we're living in. People are desperate. There's means
Oh yeah.
of more essential goods that people can't afford. Also, we had a lot of issues with law enforcement during the pandemic, and law enforcement is not inclined to do as much as they usually do because they're afraid to lose their jobs because of all of the police brutality things that have been going on. And they kind of felt like they lost support from their local politicians, right? Law enforcement, like in New York City, the NYPD is kind of disgusted with De Blasio the way that he handled it, but they also have to understand the history that they've built with police brutality that the citizens have had enough, right? So that all that combined has added to the gun violence for sure.
Oh, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
I think it has more to do with the fact that people could cover their faces now. Whereas last year or the years prior, you had people where if somebody wore a mask, why has he got a mask on? What's he doing? He's doing something.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you walk through the streets, whatever beef you have with somebody, you could put on a hoodie, put a mask, and that's it. It's easier to kill somebody now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But
That's
still,
definitely something. But we can't deny the facts that we're going through a international crisis economically, health wise, law enforcement with the Black Lives Matter thing. Like, it's a whole combination of things as well. But you're right. The fact that the people can be incognito and kind of get away with a crime because their face are covered.
I think it's just people are just it's just so much easier to kill somebody now because you can get away with it. You can, you
Yeah.
know,
But desperation too. People are desperate, bro, right now too in
I
these
think
times.
I've seen so many like stories about people dying over stupid things. Like
Yeah.
they'll be in the streets arguing about something stupid, and then that person gets disrespected, and he kills this person. That guy in the Bronx, he flicked a cigarette to somebody else. They felt disrespected and killed the dude for no
That
reason,
is disrespectful of you. You gonna flick a cigarette to somebody.
or enough to kill the dude.
Well, it depends. Some people have rage in them. Like if you was to flick a cigarette, I mean, I'm punching you in
I
your face.
understand,
I'm not
like
gonna shoot you, but I'm
I
gonna punch you in the
understand, like if
face.
you flicked the cigarettes, because we've all smoked cigarettes and we flicked it and said it was probably he flicked it. It
It
was
was
a.
so we saying that it was like an accidental flick, maybe. Like
I'm saying like you flick it, but sometimes it's just the nature of things. Somebody was walking, he
yeah, it could have been that. If it's that, if it's by mistake, I get it. Yeah.
but then you know how it is. Like you be in the streets, and so you flick this. Yo, why the fuck you flicking the cigarette at me? Then the dude's like, who the fuck you talking to like that? Instead of saying, yo, my bad, bro. Like I didn't mean to flick it in your face. My bad, I'm sorry. But it's the egos that play around. It's the egos of, and it's like, oh well, I'm not a bitch, so I'm gonna tell this dude off. You know,
Yeah,
it's like to
yeah, you're
me,
right. I mean, some people take things to the extreme. Some people just there's society as a whole. I think has anger management issues. We don't like to let we don't like to feel like we're being stepped on, right?
yes.
But yeah, man, for definitely, man. But definitely that Takashi 6 9 thing, that would definitely be a good idea. I mean, hopefully our platform is not as big yet. Maybe he won't even want to come on, but we can, we can find a way to probably have him on. Let's see, man. I mean, he's desperate for an interview, so he might just jump on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure though. But I really believe though, because we're so uncensored, you know what I mean? Like we get straight to the point though. That could be also a little iffy with him though, because
Yeah, yeah,
we don't
for
we
sure.
don't like run around and pick the right questions. We just go straight to it. And that's what I think with me, honestly, and I mean, I shout out to all the podcasts. You know what I'm saying? But like here, we're trying to really have like try to create true journalism and really report things. You know what I'm saying? Like I really believe the other podcasts they trying to protect image. That's why
Yeah,
they declined it. It's about protecting image. And for me though, I want to get down to the root cause. I want to like hear your side and also use that as a way to really wake up other people from this. You know what I'm saying? Because again, though, as I stated earlier, you know, thinking about all this gun violence right now in New York City and how it's just been increasing crazy. I mean, you could blame it on the COVID-19, blame it on the social unrest, blame it on poor policing, not responding fast enough. Whatever the case is the fact is we have kids killing kids. You got the fact that people are involving themselves in a lifestyle they're not really built for, and as well they don't really have that true OG to really guide them and show them the way. Because even with Takashi's story, and when I was looking at the interview, his whole case was that he thought that that was his friends, but he knew that weren't your friends, man. Like you ain't grow up with them. You know what I'm saying? You just met these guys, and you know already that basically You were using them for street cred and also protection, and they were using you as a cash cow. I mean, that just, to me, that's the way I assess it. You know what I'm saying? And I do get whatever he stated, that, you know what I'm saying, his manager slept with his baby mother, that was taking a lot of money away from him. But you should have known from the gate, and he should have known. I think he does know. These weren't your friends. So this is the type of guidance that we need to teach these young generation kids. The streets don't love you. Don't act as if you're getting cool with somebody involved in the street that they're your friends. They're not your friends. The streets, they're not loyal to you. You know what I'm saying? So this whole thing about, keeping it real and being, keeping it as far as like, loyal to the people around the streets. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, my best advice is to basically do not involve yourself in the streets. And this is why we would love to have this guy in this podcast, because it's a great way to show the younger you about why you should not involve yourself in this, because this could happen to you. Because, I mean, he almost got killed. The kid almost got killed.
And his mother too. His family was, his mother was going. They had a hit for hire on his mother too.
Yeah, real talk though, man.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, come on, man. This is getting ridiculous though. I mean, me from New York City though, it's just something that, who knows? You could just walk, you know what I'm saying, be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, you're right.
Violence happening right now, man. Which like you gotta look, both ways all the time, because you don't know what can happen.
But it's crazy because even as bad as things have gotten, we've gotten so used to our murder rate being so low. We forget about how it was in the 90s, how it was in the 80s and the 70s, where the murder rate was close to 1,000. That murder rate, that was crazy in the 90s. Like the shit that you've heard Nas speak about, Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang, like it was crazy in the 90s. And as bad as it's gotten now, we still haven't even like touched how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean,
that boggles my mind, because if anybody and all the listeners, they have Citizen app, you can see every day there's a shooting. But you know what's the crazy thing about it? Most of them shit just happened in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's been crazy.
Brooklyn and the Bronx too. The Bronx,
but mostly like I think like over 50% at least, or a little under. I gotta get the numbers together, but it's been a lot of that shit's been in Brooklyn.
Well, let's pull up the facts, man. With this gun violence, like I was just gonna chime in for our listeners and our viewers real quick, viewers, so they can understand. Gun violence is Gun violence is a contemporary global human rights issue. Gun-related violence threatens our most fundamental human rights, the right to life. Right? Gun violence is a daily tragedy affecting the lives of individuals around the world. More than 500 people die every day because of gun violence with firearms, right?
That's true.
The world, 75% of the world's guns are civilian controlled, right? So meaning that civilians own most of the guns in the world.
The license, you have a right to own.
And 50% of those guns are here in the United States, because we're the largest manufacturer of guns in the world, the United States. So we got to take that into consideration, the fact that the United States makes so much money off of productions, of a gun production. And it affects gun violence worldwide, the fact that we produce so much of it.
Absolutely. I mean, as you're pulling up that information now, I want to definitely share something. So according to the New York Times, there have been 791 shootings since May. So from May to September 17th, there's been 791 shootings here in New York.
That's crazy. That's
Think
insane.
about that. There's been 242 shootings in August alone, compared to only 91 shootings in August last year, 2019. I mean, again, though, this is something that, we got to really start to really, think about this, because, it's just getting so crazy out there. It's getting so crazy out there. But honestly, it really stems, again, what we talked about always, economics. The higher the unequal society is, the higher the rate of violence is. That's why when you think about gun violence, we're talking about poor cities, poor areas. You know, you don't hear gun violence in, you know what I mean, in the Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying? Areas like that. You know, we're talking about areas that's been so deprived economically, which, again, you know, that's the biggest predictor of gun violence is the inequality. You know what I'm saying? Globally, not only just here in the United States, but just globally. And this is why we got to really think about far as how we have to change our economic system. People are being too much deprived. They're going through so much struggle. And again, though, it just messes up with your psyche. This is why we see so much violence to this day. And that's why we have to make a change with this, man. And it's so unfortunate that, honestly, the way I always said it, and I hate to say it like this, but I just think it, I mean, it's the only way I really see it happening. It's going to take enormous suffering in order to really bring about, you know, true change. You know what I mean? In order to really see change happening, you know, unfortunately. But I mean, it's the way I see it, you know. But it's just a sad thing, though. It's a sad thing, man. And us being from New York City and to see this happening right now, especially at you know, at a time like this, it's messed up. You know, it's messed up, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, statistically, now you brought up statistics. Um, non-carry states have a higher gun violence rate than states where you're allowed to carry. Because in states that you're allowed to carry, you're gonna think twice before pulling out because you know that the next man got a gun too.
I have to speak
And
against
it's all and when it's like that, it's all about the luck of the draw, right? Like in the Wild Wild West, whoever pulls out first shoots is the one that wins, right?
Yeah.
So human beings always want what they can't have, and that's one of the problems that we face in big inner cities where you're not allowed to carry. You know, unless you have like unless you have like
we got one of the strictest gun laws. Like
Yeah.
New York is crazy.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
gun
yeah.
laws are so strict, unbelievable, man. Because you go anywhere else, like I mean, you said right now, like, you know, like when I was in Tennessee, like I literally saw people like with their guns out, like just literally right in the holster, and just walking down the street like it's a regular thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm from New York, so I'm like, oh wow, this dude is just walking like that. But
Yeah.
it goes because I mean, you know, over there it's different.
When you have a small amount of the population holding a lot of the guns in a particular city or state, it kind of entices people to like kind of like be boastful about it and use their guns for anything. To use for anything, it could just be an argument over a parking spot. You know what I'm saying? Like you get shot, but if you know that the other man has a gun, you're less likely to pull out because you know he might shoot you first. You know what I mean? This makes
Right,
sense,
right.
right? Look at
That's
Florida. Florida has a high population too, right? State-wise, like New York, not as not as much not as much as we do, but they're pretty up there, right? And they're a carry state. You don't see, the rate as high as it is in New York,
yeah.
because you know over there in Florida that that guy who you argue with might have one on him too. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit less
Like
tempting.
almost like the norms. They
Yeah.
like they expect that. They
Like that.
assume it already.
Yeah.
It's very true, man. Yeah, man. But again, I mean, you know, what do you think what could be done though, as far as right now, that could really alleviate some of this? Because I mean, I spoke about this a little briefly about, you know, first of all, we gotta get to root cause of what's actually causing all this, you know, what I mean, historically, you know, and that really stems to economics though. You know what I'm saying? Having an unequal society. And that means evident because you think about the highest crime rates are from what cities? The poorest cities. You know what I mean? That just don't take a genius to figure that out. You know, the poorest cities have the highest crime rate. So that's already evident that we need to change those areas as far as like them having their needs met and changing them where they don't feel so shamed on. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it all stems down to economics, man. Economics, economics. I can't really emphasize it, you know, any further than that. You know, but Chris Ryder, what's your take though, man? With this whole gun violence, man. I mean, because again, man, we all from New York City, man, and you know, it's depressing to see this right now.
Yeah, but I've been like looking at while you guys have been talking, I've been looking trying to find articles, and most of the stuff that I've been finding is kind of like from like the beginning to like the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that one of the articles that I found, they said that 97% of the shootings have been minorities and people of color, and I saw that in, I think, the month of June, there was like 9 more murders than the previous year last year. But the shootings are up a lot. So I'm trying to get like, yeah, one of the articles was that shootings are up 87% from last year.
87%.
87.
That's
But this one right here, it's an interesting. I'm gonna share it right now. This is from June. So I don't know if you can see it. You see it?
yeah, I see it.
So it says here that it said although gun violence is up drastically so far this year, it's important to point out the number of shooting victims is still down 11% from 10 years ago and 74% from 2017.
Mm.
So even as bad as it's been, and look, and murders are down 26 from 10 and 80% from 27. This was when like it was getting like really bad. So the
Wow.
numbers is still down from a while ago, but I think the reason, you know, we've gotten so used to crime being down in this city that the fact that, it's risen so drastically, it's like, oh my God, you know. And that's the thing that to me is like it's the most important that you have to look at is murders are gonna rise in the summer. How many times have we've always said, Jay, oh, it's gonna be a hot summer?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when
yeah.
we
The
start
weather,
hitting shits
climate
going
change
in
is here.
May, and because we from, where we from, when we start hitting them shits going in May, oh, it's gonna be a hot summer. And it's been so calm the last like 3 years to see this is like, and I think a lot of the media has a lot to perpetrate because they want to paint, they want to go after the Black Lives Matter narrative, so they want to emphasize, oh, this is the reason why because the cops are not doing their job. This is the reason why we've had this and that. And I think it's important to know what the focus is
Right, right.
because all of a sudden you don't hear shootings no more like that. Now, not the way it was in the summer, and we know that it's always going to rise in the summer. Why? Because it's hot.
Especially when people are going out more often now because because when it's cold, obviously people are going indoors and outdoors. So once the climate starts to change, people start to go out more. That definitely has a impact on people's behaviors, though. Especially again, though, you know what I mean, where you just trying to make ends meet on a daily basis, But I do remember though, you know what I mean, like growing up in the '90s, late '80s when the crack epidemic happened. I mean, the gun violence was off the. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. Me as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, to see all that violence happening, like right there, you know what I mean? And, as a kid growing up, definitely that was a lot, it was very traumatizing to see that. But as a kid, I would question though, like what actually led to this? Why is this, I mean, why are we having this pandemic? And we got to think about this, you know what I'm saying? When crack was introduced, it was introduced in poor areas. So to me, you know, it was just no coincidence of why things were happening, why people were getting killed. You know what I'm saying? Because again, though, you gotta understand this, man. You know, when you think about, historically, as far as like, when you think about redlining, how we were strategically put in certain areas where we were not allowed to live in those areas if they had other people that looked different from us. We were not allowed to live there, and we were put in certain pockets. This is not by coincidence, man. You know what I'm saying? So again, though, like when we think about just the history of this, this is not it's not by coincidence. It's by design. And the crack. I mean, pandemic. I remember when was reading about Richard Nixon because he started the whole thing about the war on drugs. But what you expect though when you are in the private environment and first of all you're going through a massive stress. So what's going to what's going to result to you taking drugs in order to kind of alleviate that stress that you go through. Secondly, you could make a lot of money out of it. So what you expect? People going to start selling drugs. They're going to start selling drugs. So that was just no, what I'm saying? It don't take a genius to figure that out. So to me, it's always been an attack on, on the poor people, about having this. And, unfortunately to this day, it still has an impact on us, because again, though, every city that has the highest crime rates are what? The most poorest cities. So we have to change the system, man. The system has to change. The economic system has to change. That's the only way I see things that's going to be where it's going to alleviate a lot of those gun violence. We need to change the system.
I was
Yeah.
looking at an article right now. This is as of June, and it shows like pre-COVID versus through parts of June 29, 2020. So I'm gonna pull it up right now so you guys can see it. So these are the most violent, I guess you could say, cities, and you could see Chicago's up 34%.
Wow.
Philadelphia is up 23. It's up to this 23%. And then it's crazy because Oakland's actually seen a reduction. And we all know that Oakland's supposed to be like a really crazy place, but
Yeah,
Even
they,
LA
it's up
before, look,
23.
even LA, look, pre-COVID, it was -3%.
Yeah,
New
now
York
it's
was -13%. I was up 23. Shit.
wow. Look at that.
and
I
so
mean, looking at those stats, man. I mean, Chicago, man. That's a whole
Iraq, baby, Chirac, you heard?
yeah. That's the whole different conversation right there, man.
We're supposed to have somebody from an expert, right, from Chirac.
Yeah,
Definitely got to get him on, JT.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. And I mean, again, though, it's just so unfortunate. But I mean, first of all, we gotta ask the question: how do these kids get hold of these guns so easily?
Well, man, it's already like the United States is the biggest gun producer, like the production in the world. So,
so easy to get.
a lot of guns are acquired through stolen goods, things that have been handed down. Gun stores get robbed all the time, and then in the southern states where anybody can walk into a Walmart and get one, it's pretty easy. Like, I mean, they're strict in the rules are a little bit more strict now, but I mean, there's actual videos on YouTube that you can catch of like 14-year-old kids just walking up in a Walmart, grabbing a gun and just like purchasing it like nothing.
It's not that difficult to get access to a gun.
So if you got a friend, if you got family or friends that live in a southern state and you're from a northern state, you're like, hey, yo, try to buy me a gun down there, and I'll go pick it up.
Ah, for sure.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's actual like undercover like journalists that like strapped on like cameras
Oh,
to
absolutely.
kids. They go into the Walmarts and to these
Oh, I agree.
these
I
gun stores, and
definitely.
they just buy guns like that with no. Sometimes the owners of these gun shops, just to make a quick buck, they'll sell it to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I mean, definitely, money definitely changes the whole narrative too.
Oh.
Especially when you're paying, triple of what you would pay actually if you're buying it from the store. You know, but again, though, it's not that difficult to get access to a gun.
Mhm.
And again, this is why it's no coincidence too, though. But it's unfortunate, though, man.
Mm. And you got these drug organizations too, the cartels. They bring them in, but who sells it to the cartels? The DEA agents. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
there's no, this is the whole big thing about how DEA agents who are off the grid, they go and they sell guns to Mexico, because in Mexico, legally it's real hard to get a gun. Like, one of the hardest places to get a gun in the world is in Mexico. But who brings those guns down there? Who's the neighboring country? Us, right?
right.
Who's bringing it? Gun manufacturers, obviously, but there's this whole big thing about how DEA agents are like in cahoots with selling arms to the cartels, and it's like a never-ending cycle.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And again, as you say that, right? To even think as if the United States has no parts to this. I mean, the U.S. government has no parts in this. Like, you got to be like, living under a rock. You know what I mean? It's like, it's ridiculous how people still believe that sometimes, the U.S. government has no involvement in this.
Yo,
But man,
there's like an estimated 875 million guns in the world, right? Right? So and 50% of those guns are roughly in the United States.
well, yeah,
That's crazy.
Also, you gotta also I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's like a thing about counterfeit guns where there's a lot of guns being made in like
At
Asia,
home.
and they're like made in like these cheap like back of the woods factories, and then they're shipped to the US with like no, because every gun has like an identification. So when you fire, they can like pinpoint where the gun was from, if it's had bodies on it or
Yeah,
not.
it's called ballistic report.
Yeah, from the serial number, but these guns don't have them. And they bought a lot of those type of guns, and they'll look just like a Beretta or a,
Right, right. I heard about that.
it's on this is Netflix has a special about that shit. That's
Oh,
why
okay. Yeah, I heard of that too, though.
like they have Netflix has a lot of bunch of specials and stuff like that. But you guys failed to mention there's gun conventions where people like can just walk in and buy them in bulk.
Yeah, yeah, of course, man.
Yes,
My
I'm saying like
question is, man,
I mean the guidelines have gotten strict have gotten stricter throughout the years, but it's still not, it's like very unregulated. It's pretty easy to get a gun in the South, especially in those gun conventions that Chris Ryder was talking about.
mm. My question is that do people kill people or do guns kill people?
Well, the
You know what I mean?
combination
When I
of
think
both.
about that, in order
But
for you
people, I mean, if you're
I
the
mean,
one,
you can't pull the trigger by itself.
if you're but if you're in a possession of a gun, you're the one that has the will to do it or not. I get that. But the fact that it's available to you may make you, tempted to use it, right? So the availability is not as strong as the will to kill. You're right. It's not. I believe that the will to kill is more of obviously a human process, right? But the fact that the availability is so abundant, it makes you more tempted, right?
So you're saying that, I mean, just having that just that thrill of just
Yeah. If you got a gun in your house, you're more tempted to use it than if you don't.
Well, I really believe that. I mean, people that actually own guns is either to really protect yourself, because I mean that's part of our Second Amendment, obviously, the right to bear arms, and then is a way to use it for economic gains, right? As well too, because you're talking about, okay, now I got a gun, I'm able to use this, I'm able to rob, I'm able to use this as a way to really um make some, I mean, just to try to make something out of this.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that's just the harsh reality of it too, though, man.
Or somebody slaps the shit out your mother coming out the grocery store. You're gonna be like, what the fuck? You're gonna go out with that hammer. You're gonna be like, yo, what's up? You slap my mother, you shoot him. Some people are quick to not fight somebody physically. They rather use a weapon because they know that it's more intimidating. You know what I mean? That's another problem too. That if you know you have an intimidating weapon that's gonna make another person not fight you, you're more likely to use it.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, it's changed though. People don't fight no more.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like even if they do fight, they can't even accept the loss.
Yeah, and
What
that's
they do is
another
they have
problem. You fight somebody, you beat them up, and then they're tight because you beat them up, and then they go grab a gun and get you back because you got the best out of them, right? So that's another thing too. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but the fact that we live in a country that's the number one producer of guns throughout the world by a lot, like we're like the number one guns producer in the world, kind of like fits into why gun violence is big in the United States, because we're the ones that produce it. We sell it here. We have them here. You know what I mean? It's like it's more available to people here than any other place, right?
It is. It is. I mean, think about historically speaking. This is why the United States. I mean, especially the Europeans who came here and conquered. This is why they was able to take over because they had guns. They were able to defeat the Native Americans. They couldn't. There was no match when you have guns versus arrows. You know what I'm saying? Like no match. And that's why United States became the United States because of bringing guns over here.
Yeah. I mean, just think about the power that a gun has. Like, even if somebody shoots you from like 20 or 30 feet away, you can still die off of a gun wound, right?
Yeah.
So imagine 5 feet or 6 feet, you're done. It's fatal. Even the smallest guns can kill you at a 5 foot distance. like
Man,
a
you know, when
28
I
or
think about
22.
technology, that's one of the worst technologies ever invented, man.
Yeah,
It was good.
a 22 has a it's so small that when the bullet releases it goes all spiral, like it goes all crazy. So if it hits you in your body, it can travel up to your. If it hits you in your chest, it can travel up to your
Yeah,
shoulder.
crazy.
Like it's crazy because it's like the impact of it releasing from the chamber is so strong that the gun can even handle it. So it lets the bullet go crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
So
just think
it's
about it,
insane.
like I mean, you know, it came from China, right? Gunpowder, but it was a way for them
Yeah.
to use it as a way to celebrate. However, though, the Europeans found a way to actually make it into a weapon, and that's how guns came about. You know what I'm saying?
Because the Chinese were always big on celebrating with fireworks.
Yes. Yeah. This shows you, man, the history behind all this shit and how. So this, I mean, look what's happening right now. You know, but it's just crazy, man. I just say this though, as I stated earlier, you know, I'm just really concerned about the youth though, man. The youth definitely because kids can't, you know, they don't even living their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy. It's just so depressing to see someone getting killed at 15, 16, 17 years old. You know what I mean? Like this kid had never lived his life yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just sad to see that. And you know, I know the streets definitely, you know, people get caught up because you know you got no dad at home or you know your mom's not working right now, and like the only way out is like getting yourself involved in the street, man. But we got to get out that mentality though, man, because again though, there's only two ways: jail or you know what I'm saying, 6 feet under. You
Yeah,
know,
man. I actually got an article here I want to pull up from the Gun Violence Archive.
yeah.
.org. This is actually the one of the best sources you can have because it's actually from an archive that's built for gun violence. I'm gonna share it with you guys real quick so you can just see here. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it. Pull up. As I'm on some spy shit right now. Pull up.
So while you're doing that, there's a little bit of a history that said that the first actual gun identified as a gun was a bamboo tube that shot gunpowder in
Yeah, man.
1000 AD.
So this is
Hmm.
that's crazy. Bamboo. That's nuts.
Wow.
Um,
In China.
you never seen those like James Bond movies? He would build a gun out of like a plastic sewer pipe and shit. With like it would shoot nails and kill people. That's actually you can actually do that for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy.
All right, so we pull it up right there. That's
So we got the Guns Violence Archive of 2020, evidence-based research since 2013. So the total numbers of gun violence deaths, all causes, meaning all causes, right? So here you got a map of look at this. This is the most populated areas in the United States. All those red dots there. Look at Florida and look at like New York and look at New York and like the tri-state area is crazy.
yeah,
So
man.
homicidal slash murder unintentional 13,250. Suicide 17,490. Total number of injuries 27,226. Mass shootings 463. That's another thing. Mass shootings. We're the highest. We're the only country that has such a high rate.
Oh yeah.
Right. Mass murders 16. Number of children killed 212. Injured 496. Number of teens. You were talking about teenagers, right, John Tavar?
Yeah.
12 to 17 years old, killed 719, injured 2053. Officer involved incident. You know that's a lie. That statistic right there.
Wow.
I don't know what that really means. Subject killed, injured 693. Officer involved incident 952. Officer killed or injured. Oh, this is officer involved or killed. Okay, so officer killed 45, injured or killed 250. All right, so um, gun violence and crime incidents are collected validated from 7,500 sources daily. So this is actually a real good statistic.
Wow. So
Yeah.
man.
So here we have a list here of the years right there. I don't know if you guys.
Okay, that's what I look at. Yeah, we could scroll down a little bit, just kind of like you know,
There
look
you
at
go.
the comparison between years. Oh my God. So
I mean, like I said, When 2020 is done, then we'll be able to see the 2020.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Man, but still though, you talk about right now as I'm looking at it right now. So there's been man 15 over 15,000. Man, this is crazy, man. It's one thing. I mean, honestly, man, people have this misconception about the United States, man. We have so much violence in this country.
Yeah,
It's just
man.
like it's unreal.
Yeah.
It's just crazy,
Part
man.
of the American dream is to be violent.
For
This thing
real, man.
about this thing about organized crime, bro. The United States was the biggest country of organized crime in the history of the world. So
Man. Oh
uh,
yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
part of that has to be with that capitalist mentality of getting the most while you can,
Yep.
and getting more than the next person and be able
Although
to crush
the root
be
word
able to
of
crush
capital
somebody.
is to capitalize.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how else can you crush somebody? You crush them with money, right? If you got money, you can make anything happen, right? So that's one of the reasons why the American dream for some people were like, let's get it by any means necessary. Where we got to
So,
kill you.
yeah, that's just man. Looking at these statistics, man, it's crazy.
So yeah,
That's crazy, man.
so you can see that the lowest rate is murders and suicides. Usually they're done with
Highest suicidal rate than any first developed country in the world, the
yeah,
U.S.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The stress levels are pretty really high statistically for the United States, just
Oh
because
hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
yeah,
That's without a doubt. Without a doubt, man. I mean, especially when you're living under so much stress, like I mean, economically, where you try to barely make ends meet. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine right now. You know what I'm saying? In this pandemic, which again though is just it's no evidence. I mean, it's no surprise at least that why the crime has risen because of this. But regardless of the fact, I mean, it's been happening before this pandemic, but we still gotta like, something has to change though, man. We gotta really start understanding like the economic system, man. We gotta change this whole social economic system. It has to change, man. That's the only way I see things. You know what I mean? Like changing. Because we gotta stop this whole capitalism mentality of well, you just gotta like work your way in and what I mean some way or somehow you'll make it. Now we got to structure a system that's going to be designed to at least meet the needs of people, where people don't have to struggle. People don't have to just, what I'm saying, trying to make ends meet and just trying to make it day by day. You know,
yeah.
it's just a harsh reality, man. But it's just true, though, man. It's true. You know what I'm saying? This is why when I go back and forth with certain people about this whole, capitalism versus, and I mean, honestly, it's not about, trying to bring, socialism, but bring a system that's put in place that's going to at least make people's needs met. You know what I'm saying? Especially now with technology now that we don't have to really rely on, us putting 40, 50 hours of work just to, what I mean, earn a living.
Yeah, you're right. I think I'm definitely a big believer of that the fundamental values of humanity. You're born into this world. You should have at least full shelter,
It's a
food,
right.
covered.
Right.
Yeah, it should be
Should
a
have,
right,
should have it covered.
not a
Shelter.
privilege,
That
a necessity.
if you think about it, people's incomes, your yearly salary at work goes mostly towards your food and shelter than anything else.
Yeah.
You get hired for a job making $40,000 a year. Guess what? You get taxed federally 12%, 12% of your income, and in the state, depending on the state you live in, right, you get taxed another rate. So in New York, you get 8.75%, and then you got 12% off of the federal government. You're only taking home like $30,000 a year,
And mind you,
and you're getting supposedly on paper says 40, but you're really taking 30.
yeah.
And your rent, if you're paying $1,000 of rent, which that's unheard of in New York, right? If you're paying the $1,000 of rent, that's 12,000 gone in rent. So you're left with like what another 18, right?
Yeah.
You got
But mind you,
school to pay for kids. You got
oh my
the
God,
food and transportation,
especially when you
cell
have
phone
kids.
bills, your Wi-Fi, your cable. Like it's like
Tell you one
I wonder
thing.
why people go, crazy, go AWOL.
yeah,
But as we were saying earlier, federal, state, and New York City, city tax we had to pay too. So we paid
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
federal,
You gotta
state,
take
and city.
Social Security, Medicare, the Medicare and Medicaid. Even if you don't have Medicaid, even if you have private insurance, that amount still comes out of your check. You know that, right? Because it's
Crazy,
there
man.
for the future. From when you retire, you can get Medicare. So they take that
Yeah,
out too. It's not as much as the taxes, but they do take out, an amount out of your
we get tax
weekly or
help, man.
biweekly check. Yeah.
Hell of a lot here in New York, man. We pay a lot of taxes here in New York, bro. It's crazy, man.
In the United States of America, there's not one single state where a person making minimum wage can afford to live. Not
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It's
Oh, yeah.
insane. You have to have two
That is
sources of income.
no way.
You
No
have to
way.
have two sources of income, whether it's legitimate or unlegitimate, right? Even if we have that's a lot of people you see. Oh, the guy was great. He was a teacher, but he just sold drugs out of his house. Hello, dude. He he had no choice. He couldn't get a part time job because he's so consumed with his regular job. So he had to sell drugs out of his house. You know, it's like
It's like
people. Yeah, sorry.
I recently moved, and it's supposedly a low income apartment. The rent's still astronomical high, bro. But for the same two-bedroom, it's $400 to $500 more than what I'm paying right now. $400 to $500
A
more
month.
for a two-bedroom a month.
Yeah.
I mean, so
And
you're
that's
probably
that's
saving like an extra $5,000 a year maybe through the low income system, right?
that's even that's in the Bronx, where supposedly supposed to be the poorest, you know, borough in the city.
Mhm.
I'm paying I'm paying $500 less,
So
and it's
like,
still high to me.
so it's not like a significant difference. In other words, right? Like you're not really
Well,
paying
they,
a major difference.
they
Well,
calculate that on a yearly basis. On a yearly basis, if you're paying $400 less, if you calculate that per year, that's it's about like you're saving like about $5,000 a year in rent, right? It's $400 a month. So I mean,
So
it's just it's not a big significant difference. You're right, but I mean, if you look at it at a yearly basis, if you can grab those $4,000 and save it towards something else, I mean, it kind of makes
it does. It does. Absolutely, I
a
agree.
little bit better than other people. A little bit better, not too out of the world, but it's kind of a little bit
Yeah,
better.
because I think the misconception when you hear low income, you think about paying a really low income, but that's not really low income. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're only paying a $400 difference, that's not really low income.
Yeah, and you know
it's
what?
basic.
You always find a way to use that money towards something else. When you have more money in your pocket, you start buying shit that you don't even need. Just rather than just get
You know, when they say low income, it's really based on what you're making, because there's apartments that fit certain criteria. So my apartment fits a certain percentage. There's apartments in these like real nice fancy new buildings that it's for 90,000 dollars a year, and that's considered low income. But
for that building, right? For instance, for a building, it all depends on the structure, right, or the area.
average two bedrooms 1950 average. You're paying $23,000 a year for a two bedroom in the hood. 23,000. You could use that money to buy a house, and the house will be cheaper.
Well, you think about as far as like how much money you put down, your down payment, and then the mortgage.
That's just saving rent for 1 year.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, you're better off just jumping into property, man, because at least if you're paying $2,000 a month, at least by in 20 years that's gonna be yours. Like you're gonna own it, right? So you just gotta just pray that you're healthy enough to continue to work and put up that 2,000 so you can get that debt over with, right? But when you're paying rent for something that you don't own, and then the landlords can basically dictate inflation on the rent, it's like, come on, man, you're losing all day. You're losing because you're never gonna own the place where you live at. So you're investing in something that's not never gonna be yours, and you can't pass it down on nobody, right? So it's like I would suggest that people save their money and definitely get into property investments and because that's the only way to build generational wealth is to pass down things that are worth something to your kids, and and let that tradition continue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me though, my property is gonna be outside the United States, where it's mine forever. You know, what I mean, because here in the United States there is property tax. You know, unfortunately. But I
Yeah,
see what you're saying though, because at least you still are able to still, what I mean, own it. Not really own it, but just at least you could pass it on. And you don't have to be, what I'm saying, once it's paid as far as like your mortgage, well, you gotta really worry about your property tax.
yeah.
And depending on where you live, though, depends how much you'll pay, and depending on the value of the house.
And it's per square feet too, like the area that you live in, also how big your property is. But the funny thing is about that is that this is the funny thing is, so you get the loan from the bank to buy the house, right? And then you pay property taxes to the town or the city or the state that you live in. And then if you're done paying your house off, your mortgage is done, right? You done pay the bank off, right? You don't owe nothing to the bank. You don't pay those property taxes. It's not the government that comes. It's not the government that comes to take your house. It's another bank. So if you
Mhm.
think about it, yeah, the banking system and the government, they work hand in hand.
But yeah, yeah, of course, no, absolutely, no, without a doubt. And I mean, it's happened to people. I know people personally that the house was bought. You know what I mean? Just couldn't keep up with the property tax.
Yeah, because they're retired or something. They don't make as much money anymore.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, for at least for my case, the parents, they were deceased, and the person they passed it down to wasn't able to keep up with the property tax, and unfortunately, the house will take it away from them. So again, though, what I mean, it's just kind of crazy here in the United States, though, when it comes to even like what I mean, living. Um, but I mean, listen, honestly, man, great conversation, guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to do the final thought. 'Cause I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Let's final thought it. We got this already. We probably touched up on a lot of
yeah,
issues.
yeah. Um, let me begin with. Let me just say my final thought because I definitely want to say something. As I stated earlier, what I'm saying, when it comes to the streets, though, right? I'm really big on this because, first of all, this whole snitching thing, like it's been so misconstrued as far as like what is a snitch? And when I think about the streets, though, right? The streets, we got to really get out this whole mentality of trying to keep it real to the streets and think as if the streets love us. The streets don't love you. You know what I'm saying? The streets will never love you. You know what I mean? This is why once you're in a position to get yourself out of this type of environment, get the hell out. You know what I mean? I'm all for giving back to your community and trying to help people out, but don't act as if the streets is going to be loyal to you, and because you're loyal to the streets. We got to stop all that. Get out of this whole mentality about the street thing. I just can't really take it like that. I mean, it just kind of like really bothers me. you know. And honestly, what I always say is this: when it comes to this, you know, we have to really take more ownership of ourselves. And the only way I see things happening as far as like true change is us taking more ownership, as I just said right now, and really try to create our own environment where we able to really establish ourselves the way we want to and help each other. You know what I mean? Because again, though, we're living in a different time right now. And I mean, it's just sad to see that, still we're going through so much craziness right now. But, we got to really take more ownership of ourselves and really get more in tune into our inner being, man. Because honestly, I mean, for me, though, I definitely went to a different shift as far as like myself as a person and really got to know my inner self, and I think it all begins with you as a person. Um, so, again, though, I just really believe that people, I mean, especially the kids, us as being the old generation, we got to take more ownership too, though, of really guiding our younger generation, because again, though, I see a lot of these violence is because they don't have that person in front of them to really guide them and teach them. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have that OG in front of them, you know. So I'll leave it like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just really hard on it because I mean, me, not only as an educator, but as a parent, I take this very seriously, man. Because I mean, honestly, gun violence, It's just it's just a serious thing. God knows what can happen, especially to, you know what I mean, those who have kids, those who have, you know what I mean, nephews, nieces, you know, who knows what can happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just my final thought, man.
Chris Ryder.
I think there's no beef or problem that should be ever um solved with a gun. I think a real man or a real individual, will fight it out, and you take your losses and you learn from it. We've become a society that's so sensitive that we can't deal with adversity. They've made it so you're protected from that. And it's caused our youth to feel like if they take a loss or something's too hard, they either want to kill somebody or take their own life. And I feel like we've become so soft as a society. It's nauseating. But I always feel like there's no issue or problem that can't be solved with a fist. I think back with the movie Friday when the pops came into the room and he saw Ice Cube with the gun. He said, "What you need that for?" And he held up his fist and he was like, "You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day." That shit's real, man.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a great quote right
lose
there.
some, win some. You ain't no, there ain't nobody in this world. Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, got his ass whooped a couple of times,
Yeah.
and he was the baddest man in the planet. But he won some, or he won a lot, but he lost a little. But that's the point I'm making. Is like there's nothing in this world you can't solve with your fist, and that person gets to go home. You get to go home, and I feel like there's no issue in this world that you shouldn't take another person's life. You know, you can't come back from that. Once you're gone, you're gone. I feel like our society, we've become so soft that we want to solve everything with a gun. There's so many times in the subway that people piss me off, and it's like I got to think about if I approach this person, you know, am I gonna make it home? And I think about that more now that I have a son. It's like it's very important that I make it home. I had a situation one time. I told Nelly the story. That this guy came to my car. He violated. So I'm looking at this dude, and my head is like, okay, you come to my car, knock on my window, not knowing if I have anything. And
Oh,
in
they had
that
a butcher
instance,
knife
if
on
I
you,
had,
huh?
I could have ended his life.
A
Or if
butcher
you
knife.
guys came to my car, what did he have on him? So if I
Little
get
did
out
he,
of the car,
little did he know that you was a killer. You kill cows for a living.
yeah, but anyways, like I said, if I'd have got, it took every fiber of my being not to get out of my car because I had to come home to my son. It's not about me anymore. It's about him. But in that instance, it could have went to where one of us either could have fought it out as men, went home to whoever we go home to, or one of us could have died. You just don't know in that instance. And it's just crazy that you got to look at every situation you get into, and is it really worth my response? Because I could lose my life because there's so many new stories in the news where you hear guys dying of stupidity, pettiness, getting into arguments in the street.
Yep.
This one dude got shot in the head because he was in an argument with somebody. And I guess that person couldn't take that L and he felt the need to kill this dude. But what were you arguing that was worth you ending somebody else's life?
Yeah.
To me, it's just nothing is worth outside of, rape. There's nothing worth killing anybody over outside of rape. I think rape is the worst thing a human being could ever do, period. And you warrant to get killed. Like you deserve to die. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything worth killing somebody over. A good beatdown is always the best thing. But rape, all that other shit, you deserve to die. Because you violated somebody else's life, and you destroy their person forever. And that's my final thought.
Yeah, man. Gun violence is a big issue in the world, particularly in America. I definitely believe that if you decide to pick up a gun, either for protection or just for just to showboat, that you definitely have to think about the repercussions of carrying that gun or using it. Not only because you might end up, being in jail for the rest of your life, because you can also affect other people's lives and their families and their friends, right? And just be mindful that life is about more than just trying to protect your image and trying to show off to your friends that you're that person that is in control. So my advice would be, if you need to have a gun to protect your family in your home or your place of business, fine. And then even if that's the case, definitely know when to use it and when not to use it. And if you just want to have a gun just for the heck of it, well, guess what? One day you might end up using it, and I hope that you use it the right way. Well, there is no right way to use a gun, right? Unless you're defending yourself. But
Right.
yeah, man, it's a very big issue, and ending somebody's life just because you feel like you were dissed or somebody told you something that you didn't like is not the way to do it. If it's for protection, I'm all for it. In the United States of America, we definitely have to change our gun policies, and it's a big issue. And I think that we need to get people in office that can make that happen. They're not the Roundtable Podcast, man. You already know, Monday at 7:30. This is where we at every Monday, 7:30 through YouTube Live, man. Check us out. Subscribe to our channel. The little link, the little logo in the corner right there in the bottom right-hand corner. You just press that. Watch the rest of our episodes. Subscribe to our channel. We talk about social issues here. But that's my final thought, man. We out of here, man. We're going to end it with some OMZ here, Eternal music. You guys are good? You guys done? Everything good? You guys
Yeah,
look like I
we-
want to say more, man.
There'll be a part two about that, because I think we definitely got to elaborate more, because honestly, this is a topic that just can't go, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. So definitely be a part two about this. So, I'm just glad that we had this conversation, though, especially at a time like this right now. For sure.
All right, man. Butcher, I'll see you next week, all right, buddy?
This
Check you guys out, man. Nice talking to you guys again, man. Each
All
and
right,
every
yeah,
Monday,
man.
7:30 p.m. YouTube Live, then at the Roundtable Podcast. Your source to knowledge. We out here. You're
Peace out.
Gonna win. Gonna win. Gonna win. Gonna win. Never switch up. Never switch up. Gonna win. Got the Pyrex in the kitchen with the baking soda. Cut the work up and I stretch it into more coca. I chop it with the razor while I eat a glazed donut. Cuzzo telling me I'm wildin' and I'm saying sober. The fiends knocking on my door, they never staying sober. I told them give me half an hour, gotta bag it all up. I got the money and the power, never giving a fuck. You cross me, the paramedics gon' be picking you up. I call the shots, I guarantee my niggas getting you touched. Turn you to ashes and dust to dust. Smoking on the best grasses when I'm rolling a Dutch. Russian cream backwood, a raw paper with some finer leaf. I'm a trapper, but I'm putting rappers underneath. Gun clapper, use a movie actor, such a wannabe. I'll deal with them later, yeah, the paper, it be calling me. See, they slept on me, so I'm regulate, I'm boring, G. Gonna win, never switch up. 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 Gonna win it. I took a loss, I'm okay with that. See, I'm a boss, I put the work out and I made it back. If you talking about a profit, that's the only time my brain react. My homies plotting on you, better watch it or your chain gets snatched. They taking shots while I'm aiming back. Yeah, as long as I'm alive, fuck a 9 to 5. Serving and delivering your order like the pizza guy. Free the guys, cause I got indicted, you the reason why. 3 to 5 years you was facing why you need to lie. Paperwork from the written statement that you did provide. Real niggas moving silence, bury me a G, mama. I ain't with the violence. violence, but I'm always ready for the drama. If you switch, pull up with the stick. Death before dishonor, flow sick like COVID-19. In the foreign whip, all black Benz or the white beam. I was born to win and I ain't never switch up on my team. Nigga. Born to win, never switch up. Born to win, never switch up.